Good morning. This is the old man coming at you with a little message for this 4th of July weekend. It is Saturday, July 2nd, 2022. As we enter this weekend, there are some things we need to be pondering. There's, first thing, is you need to examine the name of this great country that we live in. The shortened version is America. But people forget the most important part is the first two words. The first word is united. And I'll get back to that in a second, why that's important. The second word is states. This country is made up of individual states, groups that belong to one, who've all come together to form this great nation. Now, we can debate for hours on end about some of the wrongs that happened along the way, but that's not the issue right now. The issue is that we keep forgetting about the first word, united. You know, we as a nation fought amongst ourselves during as the South calls it, the war between the states. Most people know that the Civil War, but they call it the war between the states, which is actually more accurate because there's nothing civil about the war that happened here or in any country where they fight amongst themselves. But we came through that period and we persevered, and we still had problems. We had a lot of growing pains as a country, as most nations do, but we still were able to persevere to become the land that we live in today. Now, we are not so much united anymore. The last time we came together as a nation was that dark day in September 2001, when a group of terrorists seized our planes and flew them into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And when that happened, we rallied together as a nation, and the feeling was strong. But right now, we've got to a point where we are so divided on other issues, and some are important and some are not. But the thing is, once upon a time, even far back in my generation, And nothing was even perfect back then, but still, if the situation was dire enough, as a country, we could come together. I mean, sure, you have the parties which, they're arguing amongst themselves, but nothing as bad as today. And the reason why I say this is that these politicians back in my day and before, if it was important enough, they've been able to come together some kind of middle ground. Nowadays, it's not so much. Because it's not just Republicans versus Democrats or liberals versus conservatives, whatever. We are dealing with extremism, where you have people on the far left against people on the far right, and neither side wants to budge. And who is it that suffers because of this? It's the American people. They both say they're trying to help America, but in turn they're hurting America. What I'm asking for those few people who see this, and if you agree with what I'm saying, feel free to share it with other people. We need to get back to that time right after 9/11, when we came together as a nation. We need to focus on what's important, and we have to remember this very simple thing, is that, they used to say, when I was growing up, there was a saying that people would say, it was not really true, but people would say it, is that sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, unfortunately, sometimes they do hurt. But people are taking offense at the littlest, stupidest things. And they're also coming, if you look at the TV shows today, it's like they're trying to push the envelope. I mean, The Simpsons, when it first came out, people thought it was offensive. But it's actually tame in comparison with shows like Family Guy and American Dad, which they're trying to be offensive. But yet people enjoy those shows. The ones who do are the same people who get offended by everything. We need to get past this point. We need to get a tougher skin as a nation. So if I tell you I disagree with something you're saying, it doesn't mean that I hate you. It just means I disagree with you. And I don't know why people fail to understand that. So if your person wins in the election, I'm not saying something I've heard when Biden won, you get people on the right saying, well, he's not my president. Or if you have a Democrat who wins and you go, he's not my whatever, president, governor, whatever. I don't believe in that philosophy. Yes, they're there to serve. And that's the thing. They are there to serve us. They are not our leaders. A leader is someone who does something so great and unselfish that you're wanting to follow them. I've not seen that in quite a long time. The government is different than the nation. We the people are the nation. The government are the people that we elect to do what's right by all of us. Now, normally during this weekend you see a lot of flag waving, and I'm all for that. But more than that, when I grew up in a time when we were taught many different principles, which I don't believe they do today. One of them is the love for country. You should want to love your country. And you hear all the time people saying that, well, just most recently, there was an artist who, from the band Green Day, who said that he was renouncing his citizenship because he disagreed with what happened with Roe versus Wade. It's like, really? Back before the last two elections, Whoopi Goldberg from The View had stated that if Trump won the election, she was going to move to Canada. Well, obviously that did not happen, but I mean, the first time he won, but that's my point, is that if you supposedly love this country, you should be willing to fight for it. Now, I'm not talking about rioting. I'm talking about you should be able to stand up for what you believe in. And there's also something, getting back to the flag waving, there's also something that you need to look at. You know, going back as far as Vietnam, when you had the war protesters who were in defiance, were burning the American flag because to them it symbolized the government. And now it is supposedly under the First Amendment where they can do that to demonstrate their free speech. Okay. And I disagree with that, and a lot of people disagree with that, but they're confusing the issue. The red, white, and blue, which many of my fellow veterans and others who come before us had died, they sacrificed not just their lives, but their lives they were leading up until that time. They gave what was expected of them to keep our country the home of the brave and land of the free. But that flag is a symbol, just like the American eagle is the symbol. The bald eagle is the symbol of America. But the American flag does not represent the government. It represents each and every one of us, the American people. And that's what we need to remember during this 4th of July weekend and later on in November. We need to remember that we're all citizens of this great nation. And if you disagree with my viewpoints or the viewpoint that occur from your neighbor or your family or whatever, it's okay. But there is no reason to get violent about it. There is no reason to encourage violence about it just because we're different. If I had a house and I had a Trump sign in my yard, that's me. But when you get people who are going around and stealing the signs or whatever out of people's yards because they disagree with their viewpoint, that's not how we're supposed to react as American citizens. It's okay to disagree, but don't be disrespectful. I'd be happy to debate anybody all day about my viewpoints. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'll have my say, you'll have your say. And afterwards, we can go have a beer. It doesn't matter. It's just like kids I knew in high school. They wouldn't happen nowadays because people are so insensitive. But when I was in high school, you'd see two kids have a fight in the cafeteria. And next thing you know, they were best buddies. So it's a time that we live in. I believe we need to take a step back. I'm not against technology, but since I'm obviously doing this video, but I think the more so-called advanced we get, the worse we become as a society. We need to take a step back to those old-fashioned values that we had, where we actually believed in helping your neighbor. They thing which is kind of silly because of what they're doing in comics nowadays with the new Superman, supposed to be the son of Clark and Lois. And it's no longer truth, justice, in the American way. They have changed that. I guess they thought it was too limiting for the scope of things, but as an American citizen, I like that. We strive for truth, justice, and our American way of life. So as we go through this 4th of July weekend and into the rest of our year, embrace your family, embrace your friends, embrace those who disagree with you. Because we are all in this together. We the people, as it says in our Constitution. God bless. Happy 4th.